Hi everyone, I'm Susanna Kaiserman,
And I'm Chris Williams.
part of the Gay Straight Alliance here at Schreiber, and this is our presentation for Equality Day. So today we're going to be talking about and trying to educate the audience a little bit about LGBTQ plus representation in media.
So our objectives for today's slides is that we want to educate the audience on queerbaiting and how it's harmful to the LGBTQ community. We want to show examples of positive and negative representation of LGBT people in films and TV shows and how to recognize negative representation in media.
Okay, so the first question would be, what is queerbaiting? So queerbaiting is basically a marketing technique for fiction and entertainment in which the creators hint at but don't then actually depict same-sex romance. So they basically do this for marketing to attract a LGBTQ plus audience, but then they kind of avoid the relationship in the show so that they can also appeal to the straight audience.
So another question is, why is queerbaiting an issue? So queerbaiting has become a big issue in recent years with TV shows, movies, and brands, etc. So basically, they use LGBTQ plus characters to draw the LGBT audience in as they wish to be able to relate and or feel empowered by these characters. But they are often disappointed and frustrated once LGBT relationships characters are continuously hinted at and never actually announced or confirmed to be in a relationship.
Okay, so an example of queerbaiting would be in this show Voltron. And in this, the producers had confirmed that one of the main characters was gay and would be seen with his fiance in the 7th season. But then they were only really given one scene together, and one of them was killed off. And there's no really like affectionate scenes or scenes where he comes out. So there's not really accurate representation going on here.
So another example of queerbaiting is in the show Riverdale, and there are actually many different examples of characters in this show that are seen queerbaiting. For example, Betty and Veronica they kiss for attention, and the kiss provided nothing for the plot development, and their kiss was included in the promo for the episode just to attract LGBT viewers. Archie and Joaquin kiss to distract Archie from stabbing him, and once again, this provided absolutely nothing for the plot development, and the kiss was also used in the promo like Betty and Veronica.
Okay, so some other examples of queerbaiting in Riverdale would be Cheryl and Tony. So even though they are a couple in the show, they don't really have as much screen time as some of the straight couples, even though over the seasons they've kind of become more main characters like the other couples. So even though it's kind of controversial because some people think that they are just kind of there for diversity purposes. And then there's also Kevin. He's openly gay, but there's a lot of stuff with like the gay best friend trope. In fact, one of the characters, Veronica, says that because he's gay, she wants to be like best friends with him, and so that's really feeding into negative stereotypes.
So another example of queerbaiting is in the show Supernatural with Dean and Castillo. Cast members continuously are shipping and hinting at the characters' relationship, although showing signs of homophobia and biphobia. They continuously make jokes about Dean's sexuality, of being bisexual, and there are visual cues made to create a romantic tension between the two. And also, both of them can be seen to have similar moments with other characters as well. It's currently in the last season, and there are no signs of the two actually becoming a real couple.
So LGBTQ plus representation over the years. So although the representation of LGBTQ plus members within the media over the years has been bettered, there's still a lot of room for improvement.
So basically, what divides positive and negative representation? So negative representation would be using LGBTQ plus characters as plot devices and not really developing their character. And also queerbaiting, as we just talked about, also having the LGBTQ plus community characters having less screen time than other characters, and their stereotypes. So negative representation would be in The Simpsons, like the character Waylon Smithers. Positive representation would be painting LGBTQ plus characters in a good light, accurate representations of members within the LGBTQ plus community, values LGBTQ plus characters and audience, and treats community as equals. So a good positive representation of that would be in the show Arthur, when Mr. Ratburn and Patrick get married and it's a gay wedding.
So examples of LGBT plus representation. So one example would be Love, Simon. And with a lot of these, we basically have to keep in mind that there are some pros and some cons. So you kind of have to weigh those. So some of the pros for Love, Simon was that it portrays the journey of discovering Simon's sexuality in a positive light, as well as an accurate one. And it doesn't use insensitive jokes about his sexuality. And it displays a lot of issues and troubles in the act of coming out. So some adversity that he faces. Some cons, though, would be that there is an accurate representation of a real person's coming out story in high school that not many people can relate to. I know that a lot of people say that sometimes it's inaccurate and that a lot of people around him and a lot of people that he's close to are very accepting of him.
So another show that has pros and cons is Schitt's Creek. And the show, a pro of why the show has good representation is that the show isn't centered around David's sexuality, and he has various personality traits. He's also pansexual, and a good way he described his sexuality was with the use of wine. So he basically says that he doesn't like labels and open to all types of wine, and many people were able to understand that. And he briefly dates his female friend Stevie, but later he's engaged and marries a man named Patrick. The cons are that he does not accurately portray what it's like being queer and coming out. So many people were very accepting, and there wasn't any negative parts of him coming out.
And I think we're gonna watch a video when he's using that analogy.
Just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I only drink red wine. Okay. And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine.
Oh.
And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Another show would be this show, Adventure Time. And so there are some pros to this, actually a lot of pros. So there's a good relationship, it's a healthy relationship, and it develops over the course of the show. It's not ignored, so it's kind of seen as equal as the heterosexual relationships in the show. They have a lot of screen time, and it was one of the first LGBT couples on Cartoon Network. And it kind of shows that like the straight main character doesn't always get the girls, or get the girl of his dreams trope, like isn't always the case.
Okay, so another show that actually has very many pros, and we haven't really found any cons in it, was Steven Universe. And the pros are that it portrays LGBTQ plus community relationships similarly to how straight relationships are portrayed. It features a diverse cast of characters. Many of the key main characters are having same-sex relationships or romantic encounters, and it displays LGBTQ plus relationships, but as well as getting over a toxic one.
So yeah, and this is just more stuff with Steven Universe. So there really aren't stereotypes that are used. It was made by an LGBTQ plus person and represents a lot of different kinds of relationships, as well as defying the stereotype that feminine men are always gay and includes 2 non-binary characters.
So another show that actually has very many cons and not many pros that we found was the show Atypical. And basically, there's a relationship between Casey and Izzy. But so some people may relate to this, but it depicts LGBTQ plus relationships as less significant than heterosexual ones. And it enforces harmful stereotypes of LGBTQ people. The first kiss is shared while Casey is still in a relationship with her boyfriend. The romantic aspect of their relationship is then ignored for a while until it's picked back up with Casey still in a relationship. And Casey breaks up with her boyfriend to pursue this new relationship with Izzy just to explore more of her sexuality. So she's basically using Izzy as experimentation. And another bad thing is that Izzy refuses to show romantic affection with Casey in public.
Okay, so the next one is Call Me By Your Name. And the pros is that it does portray a gay relationship as a very loving relationship. There's a lot of like romance in the movie. But some of the cons is that it is an older man with an underage child. So it sort of feeds into the stereotype that LGBTQ plus members, and specifically gay men are members of the community, are child predators, and reinforces assumptions that LGBTQ plus relationships are only flings and not as serious or meaningful as heterosexual ones because of the events in the movie.
So, in conclusion, the next time you're watching your favorite TV show or movie, please be mindful of the negative and positive portrayals of LGBTQ plus characters. So, we're trying to show that if the show includes queerbaiting using stereotypes to identify an LGBTQ plus character, a character having less screen time than others, or a character used to help move the plot along, they are negatively impacting the LGBTQ plus community. But if the show paints LGBT characters in a positive light, providing accurate representations of the LGBT community, as well as valuing their LGBT characters in the audience, they are positively impacting the LGBTQ plus community, and it's showing how the community is perceived by the world.
Awesome. So thank you so much for watching our presentation.